So the show opens up with Eric Young and Jeff Hardy in a 6 sides of steel match. All the matches tonight are based on one thing, and that's revenge. So Eric Young is on the mic before the match and he literally said he's going to take Jeff up to the top of the cage and pile drive him off to his death.
I don't think that happened.
No, but
hate to spoil the show for everybody.
It probably really would kill him. I don't know, pile driver off the top of the cage?
Yeah.
Could be dangerous. So it's a back and forth match. It starts off with Bram and Eric Young beating up Jeff on the outside. They go inside, trade moves for a while, hit each other with some weapons. Jeff sets up 4 chairs. So they're standing on top of 4 chairs all next to each other. Goes for a twist of fate. But Eric Young counters, hits him with a kick to the gut, perhaps, and then pile drives him through the 4 chairs. Pretty dangerous looking spot. It didn't look too clean, but effective nonetheless in some ways. In other ways, not so much, because Jeff is up pretty quickly and takes over in the match, puts Eric Young up on the top rope and sets up a table, or he goes up top. I'm sorry. He sets Eric Young on top of the table and climbs up all the way to the top of the cage and hits a swanton bomb off the top for the 3 count. Now, when I say swanton bomb, basically I mean he just fell. It looked really bad, like he was plummeting towards his imminent death, and then flipped over at the end. So I think in this match you could really tell, and you could tell actually at WrestleCon as well, but he's not moving too gingerly, or he is moving gingerly.
Is it better or worse than the fall that Shane McMahon did off the top of the cage?
Well, actually, it looked more dangerous. Like, he didn't jump. He kind of fell, but was tilting over like a swanton. So there was a point where he's like, looks like he's just going to land on his head. I don't know. I was so damn far away with that Shane McMahon jump that, no matter how many times I watch it, like on TV, my memory has it from like 3,000 feet away in the seat that I had. So $350 seat got me like watching the arena watching the
I basically did that. Time.
Yeah, but it's cool being there. It's awesome. So, anyways, so Jeff won that match. So, in the second out of 40 segments on the show, we have Maria and Dixie and Gail in the back, and they're arguing over Maria and Gail making their own matches. There's 2 number 1 contenders. One's Madison Rayne, one is Jade, and later on tonight, Gail is going to defend her title against both of them, and we're going to see who the better woman is. During this, Maria is just like spaced out. She's obviously, that's her gimmick, but she's really good at it. I have dated girls who act like she does in these segments, and I mean, she's looking off into space. She's talking to Dixie, but not looking at her, and I've encountered that plenty of times. So, good job, Maria. Either you're crazy or you know how to act it. Next, Galloway. We start off with Matt Hardy, the Matt Hardy brand in the ring. So it's Matt, Spud, Reby, Maxwell, and Tyrus are there. There's a great introduction by Matt.
Did you get to meet Maxwell over the weekend?
No, I didn't.
Man, I saw him at WrestleCon in a front pack.
He's got some sweet hair.
Yeah, he's got some nice hair.
Yeah, he does. So there's an introduction. It actually looks like Matt's hair. He's got the same haircut as Matt.
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah, he does. So
what a shocker.
Matt introduces Drew. I forget exactly how he put it, but he gives like an introduction, like, come on out, the man that's going to lose the title to me, Drew Galloway. And out comes Drew, and they argue back and forth for a while until Tyrus takes the mic. He makes sure everyone remembers that he also has a world title briefcase shot from Bound for Glory last year, and tonight he may use it. We go backstage, and EC3 and Tyrus are talking, arguing about their past. And as Tyrus walks off, he simply just says, "By the way, I hate you," and leaves. So, whatever. Lashley versus the Pope is next. The Pope is in the back saying he demanded this match. So, as a surprise to no one, I think we have to question the Pope's intelligence in a lot of ways.
So is the Pope basically Alex Riley, where he had a cush job where all he had to do was do commentary, and he decided he had to get back into the ring, and now he's essentially a jobber?
Kind of. I mean, he was defending Josh's honor, which I guess is kind of how
Why would
Alex
you defend Josh's honor? That makes him a bigger idiot than Alex Riley. At least Alex Riley had his own goals.
Well, wasn't Alex Riley sticking up for somebody too?
I don't remember.
I think Kevin Owens was picking on somebody.
Oh.
And then Alex Riley stood up for him. And
No wonder he's so mad. Kevin Owens on the main roster. Anyway.
Yeah. So, Lashley pretty much squashes the Pope until the Pope grabs a kendo stick and takes over. This made me look up. I was trying to see if there really is a difference between a kendo stick and a Singapore cane, but they don't look like it. So, the Pope tries to come off the top rope or second rope with the cane. Lashley spears him, gets the 3 count. And Lashley is a man of the people because he decides to continue beating the Pope's ass and spearing him. And then EC3 comes out for the save and clears the ring. So EC3's in the ring. Out of nowhere comes Mike Bennett, who lays him out and then disappears. So we go to commercial. We come back, and EC3 is still in the ring again. But he's alone. He just got beat up by Mike Bennett, but he's alone. Then the Miracles music hits, and he and Maria come out and get into an argument with EC3. So the Miracle attacked him and then dipped out and then came back out to his own music and argued with him. So whatever, EC3 challenges him to a fight. Bennett says, sure, but not tonight. Let's do it next week. And then EC3 attacks Bennett, who pushes Maria in the way to get away. They go in the back and they end up fighting outside into the parking lot when Bennett hits EC3 with a tire iron and then takes off in a car. So it looked to me like EC3 was going to shove Bennett into the trunk. Have you ever seen Jackass 2, Brian?
It's in my queue.
Oh, yeah? There's a great skit at the end, if you're into this sort of thing, where a guy's dressed like a terrorist and he's in a cab. And the cab driver has had enough and threatens him with a gun and forces him into the back seat of the car and then takes off. So it's a joke on a joke, but I digress. That's all I could think about as I was watching this segment. So the next segment is Tyrus and Spud in the back, and Spud has a plan for tonight to make sure Matt Hardy gets that title back. And this plan is written on a shitty torn up piece of paper. So he and Tyrus talk a little bit, and then Tyrus says, look, this is a quote, I appreciate your penmanship, but I'm not a fool. And he rips up Spud's plan. So it's good to see that Tyrus is a fan of the written word. Next, we have Jade sporting a new hairstyle against Madison Rayne and Gail Kim. So Jade, I'm just going to say Jade looked hotter here. She had her hair down. There's some highlights in there. I don't want to get beat up by Eddie Kingston. But I will say she looked hotter.
Red in San Antonio.
I'm not scared of Ed. You know what? I ran into Ed and Blue Pants before that Ring of Honor show.
How about that?
Yeah. If Ed was ever going to come after me, that was his shot, and he stayed away. He's been talking a bunch of shit for a while on Twitter.
Dude, that's his gimmick. Years I've been listening to Ed talk shit.
Yeah, he's a really nice guy, though, actually.
He is a nice guy. It was not his fault this bus was a disaster.
If he crosses me, though, I'm going to beat his ass. Okay, so I'm watching this match. This is my notes. I'm going to read my notes, actually. I am just about to say how Madison was better exchanging holds with Jade, but then she fucked up a crucifix, and I got sad. So there was some chain wrestling going on, exchanging holds, pins. Pretty intricate stuff. Madison and Jade were going back and forth. They were going a little slower than some of the men, but then they just started screwing stuff up. And Gail Kim comes in, and she locks up Madison in a knuckle lock, and she goes up, she scales the ropes very slowly, like she's going to go for a lucha arm drag off the top. But she turns it into the arm drag head scissors combo onto Jade as well, and just totally botches the move. So Jade eventually hits a tope to Madison on the outside. This distracts the referee as they're outside. Gail scales the top rope, but Maria Kanellis comes down and hits her with the Knockouts title. This allows Jade to slide in, hit an STO on Gail Kim, and begin her first reign as the new Knockouts champion.
Man.
And my girlfriend,
big news right there.
Yeah, my girlfriend was watching this match with me, and when Jade wins, they cut to the crowd, and people are just kind of standing around, and she's like, oh yeah, they look really excited about that. Even she knows. So we have Shane Helms in the back, who, in this promo, he says he was a genius at 11 years old. He was also in a program at Duke University while he was still in high school. This guy is smart. That was pretty much it. Al Snow, we go to a replay from last week. Al Snow's in the back beating up Grado, breaks Grado's arm. Why? We don't really know. So Al Snow is in the back talking to Billy Corgan as we go live, and he's talking about tradition. He says, things weren't always done this way. Some people shouldn't be in the business. I guess the whole thing is he's just trying to, say Grado really shouldn't even be wrestling because he's out of shape. He's just a super fan. And Al Snow is against this. Al Snow is here to protect professional wrestling.
Al Snow.
Al Snow, yes.
Wow.
What the hell would he have thought about that Jeff Jarrett match? Who knows? Okay, so Billy Corgan, suspends Al Snow, and he says that the brass in the back, these are the same people I think that have been holding me down in the UFC. The brass in the back expects a public apology. So Al Snow kind of thinks about it and then walks off. And we never got that public apology tonight, I will say. So next, Shane Helms and Trevor Lee are in the ring, calls out Eddie Edwards. They call out Eddie Edwards. Shane Helms essentially wants to tag with Eddie Edwards since Davey Richards is hurt, but Eddie Edwards turns him down. And you can tell Shane Helms is a little bit upset. Him and Trevor Lee seem as if they're going to start beating up Eddie Edwards, but Beer Money comes down and they have Edwards back. Storm says that Shane Helms looks like a giant booger and a piece of Shrek crap. And this brings out the Decay.
Sounds like amazing writing here.
Great comedy. The Decay says that last time they took the gold for fun, this time they're taking it forever. And this basically leads to a pull apart between Beer Money and the Decay. And finally, the final segment out of 400, we have Matt Hardy versus Drew Galloway for the TNA title. So Matt Hardy comes out with Spud and Tyrus, no Reby, no Maxwell. Tyrus acts as if he's going to enter the match. He's going to cash in his briefcase right before, but he decides not to. And this allows Hardy to kind of get the jump on Galloway, but Galloway fights back before Matt Hardy cuts him off with the old punch to the stomach. May have even been a slap. This allows him to take control. Later on the outside, Spud grabs a hold of Drew Galloway's leg, allowing Matt Hardy to hit a side effect on the apron. And then Josh gives us a plug for the easiest game show ever. You remember this, Brian? Or at least you remember the ads.
Easiest game show ever.
Yeah, it comes on right after TNA Impact on Tuesday nights. I believe it has taken over the place of Schitt's Creek.
I can only imagine.
So
I forget the game.
We have a plug for the easiest game show ever, which Josh says features tonight 2 teams of strippers battling over money. And I was like, you better believe I'm watching that damn show. So, Brian, let me continue on here. Matt Hardy hits a top rope gut wrench on Drew Galloway. Decides to act like his foot's hurt, takes off his boot, hits Galloway, but only gets a 2 count. He goes up to the second rope, but as he jumps off, Galloway hits him with a boot to the gut, a future shock DDT. As my main man, referee Stifler, I don't know if you are aware, Brian, but I used to train with that guy.
I've heard.
He's about to make the 3 count. Tyrus pulls him out. Leads to a distraction. Jeff Hardy runs down, makes a save, starts beating up Tyrus. Matt uses this to cut off Drew Galloway, hits a twist of fate, but once again only gets a 2 count. And then Galloway, it's kind of weird. Like he gets the 2 count and then he just kind of gets up. They struggle a little bit, and Galloway reverses Matt into the Iron Maiden crossface, much like he used to defeat Kurt Angle, and he gets the tap out and the victory. So Drew Galloway retains the TNA Impact World Heavyweight title. He will defend it every day of the week and twice on Sundays if he has to be a world champion. So not a bad show. Pretty good. Next week we get EC3, or tomorrow it'll be EC3 against the Miracle, and the promise that the Hardys will continue their feud. Man. So, yeah. Anyways, Impact from last week. So the show opens with the entire Matt Hardy brand. So that's Matt, Spud, Tyrus, Reby, and Maxwell coming down to the ring. Matt decides he's going to call out his brother Jeff. He says that he's been trying to get over this Hardy brand, this Hardy name for ages. The people chant it because of the work that he's done, and he wants Jeff to change his name. Get rid of the Hardy. You could be the charismatic Enigma. You could be Willow. You could be the Creature. Do whatever you want, but just get out of his life. Matt Hardy's pretty pissed. He wants Jeff gone. Tells him, like, look, wrestling is just something you were good at. I live and I breathe this business. And, you know, when it comes down to it, he's probably right in that argument. And both of them agree, well, we will fight this out. So it appeared that they were going to have a match later on in the show. But that appearance is not always what they seem. Because they didn't. So the next segment is Beer Money. I guess Beer Money has an open challenge. They come down to the ring on the Boozer Cruiser. And they never actually lay out a challenge.
They better get this challenge done quick.
All these tag teams just come out. So they didn't actually extend the challenge. They just rode down to the ring. And then the BroMans come out. Decay comes out. And Eric Young and Bram come out. Now, the BroMans, I really like the BroMans right now because the entire reason they got back together as a team was because there was an open challenge. That was it. There was been no other explanation. They were like, all right, there's an open challenge. We got a tag title shot. Let's start teaming again. I'm done hanging out with Eli Drake. So the match goes on for about 5 minutes before the bell actually rings and they start it. So a lot of brawling going on outside. James Storm sits Bram up against the steps and then does an entire lap around the ring on the Boozer Cruiser before nailing Bram in the crotch with the Boozer Cruiser. The heels decide this is the Decay and Eric Young and Bram. Beat up on Bobby Roode before he makes a hot tag to Jesse Goddard's, who runs wild. Mr. Pectacular hits an awful looking drop kick. What could be described as at best, wonky press slam. And then it does an uncharacteristic head scissors. Crazy Steve is on the top rope. He runs up and does a flying head scissors to Crazy Steve and throws him off the top rope. Robbie E then decides to scale the top rope and there's some guys outside. He does a splash that it looked like when you take a baby or a kid who's never swam before and you toss them into the pool. You ever done that, Brian?
No.
No?
I don't like to torture the youngsters in my life.
Well, it was just arms and limbs and stuff flailing every which way as he comes off the top onto the guys on the outside. Eventually, in the ring, Bram and Eric Young collide. James Storm hits the last call super kick and gets the 3 count for Beer Money to retain the titles. He hit the super kick on Eric Young and retains the championship. So there we go.
Cool.
Yep. Jeff and Matt are backstage, and Matt alerts Jeff that indeed they will battle next week here on Pop. And the winner, it's actually tomorrow, folks. The winner of tonight's tag team main event, which I guess they made, it's Tyrus and Hardy, Matt Hardy versus Jeff Hardy and a mystery partner. The winner of that main event will get to pick the stipulation. Matt wants it to be an I Quit match, and Jeff wants it to be Full Metal Mayhem. Next, we have our gratuitous...
Why would Matt want it to be an I Quit match?
Because the most embarrassing words a man can utter are I quit, and he wants Jeff to say them.
Does he know his brother's a babyface and has never said I quit in his life? What an idiot.
Should I check the spoilers to find out how stupid he really is?
I bet you could probably figure it out.
Because maybe he's not. Yeah, based on... Yeah, whatever. So, we have the gratuitous Knockouts Division segment of the week. Maria is out first. And she calls out Jade, the new Knockouts champion Jade. She wants Jade to give her the title. Maria has done so much for Jade by putting her in a match for the number 1 contenders shot. She wants Jade to relinquish the title to her, especially after Maria hit Gail Kim with the belt last week, and that's the reason why Jade has a championship. But Billy Corgan comes out, as do all of the TNA Knockouts. They argue over who's in charge of the division, who's the leader, who wore it better, who gets Dave Bautista first, etc., etc. And then Billy Corgan says, later on tonight, Jade, he will fight Madison Rayne. And then next week, there will be a ladder match, and all the knockouts will have a battle, and the winner will be the leader of this division.
What's at the top of the ladder? Dave Batista?
A good portion of them. Apparently, later on, they clarified this really is a ladder match, and whoever wins it is going to get to make matches. They will be in charge of the knockouts division.
So Harris Brothers going to end up winning it.
Essentially, yes. They were talked about it, and the Pope got all excited because Josh said the winner can make title matches, make matches. They can do whatever they want. And the Pope got all giddy. He said, no, Pope, you're not a knockout. You can't be in there. I thought that was kind of comical. The next segment, EC3's in the back. He's going to teach Mike Bennett a lesson. Another segment, Eric Young and Bram arguing. Another segment, at least this one's in the ring. We have Trevor Lee, accompanied by Shane Helms. And earlier on, we saw Eddie Edwards get attacked in the back. He was supposed to face Trevor Lee tonight, so he is out of the match. And Shane Helms, he doesn't know who's stupid enough, who would accept a match against Trevor Lee on such short notice. But out comes DJ Z. And he has like the best. What is the TNA Titantron thing called? Does it have a name? Impacttron?
Probably something like that. The Impacttron.
Yeah. So that thing is showing DJ Z's, his graphics, and it's a giant teddy bear wearing headphones. Awesome. So DJ Z hits the ring like a house on fire. He's flying around.
God, hold on a second. I just got something here I got to read to you. This is breaking news. First off, you know that there's a show called TMZ Sports?
Yeah, because they screwed me.
Really? What do you mean? What happened?
Well, when I was doing some stuff with Red Dragon for Ring of Honor, TMZ Sports decided to report that I had signed a Ring of Honor contract and I was going to be wrestling for them.
That's right.
And I was gonna be looking to get the UFC title and the Ring of Honor title. And then the UFC said, "What the fuck is this?" And told me not to do it anymore. So thanks a lot, TMZ Sports. You lied and that was my dream. That was my dream gig, you bastards.
Well, I know that this TMZ Sports has now done a deal. This is like they did an angle with Matt and Jeff to build up their match tomorrow, where I guess they interviewed them under the guise of it being a real fight or something like that. And I'll just read the headline here. Wrestling legend Jeff Hardy rips brother's wife. She's a witch bitch, it says. It started off with the usual threats, but got crazy personal when Jeff brought up Matt's wife, calling her a witch bitch that's casting spells, who is turning the brothers against each other. Since when is TMZ helping promote wrestling?
I don't know. I mean, it's more real than TMZ.
Well,
they're trying to legitimize themselves by latching on to professional wrestling.
Apparently this has gotten very personal leading into tomorrow's show. For the rights to the Hardy name. What would this mean for Maxwell?
That's a good question. What happens if he loses that Hardy name?
It's crazy. All right, keep going.
I don't know where the hell I was. Oh, I know where I was. House of Fire. I thought that comment set you on fire. DJ Z's flying around, hitting dives and head scissors. This is a pretty short match. Shane Helms distracts the ref, and Trevor Lee cuts off DJ Z. Looks like he's going to go for the Fisherman's Buster, but instead he gets small package for the upset win for DJ Z. So then Shane Helms, and Trevor Lee beat up on DJ Z a little bit until Eddie Edwards runs out to make the save. Jeff Hardy is in the back, perhaps talking to TMZ. Perhaps not, but he does reveal that Drew Galloway will be his partner later on tonight. The next match we have here is EC3 versus Mike Bennett. This is a match that they've been building to for about, actually since I think the initial debut of Mike Bennett, which was the first show on Pop. So early on this year, right? Since January. So
January.
It's been a couple month build here before we get to the match. Maria comes out, as she always does, for her intro. And I think they added in something right here, because right before Bennett hits the ramp, and when Maria's done, they added in like a audio cut where it goes, the miracle. And then Mike Bennett comes out. So match begins, and EC3 is on the offense early, including some brawling and a vertical suplex on the ramp. They get back in the ring, and Bennett cuts him off with a spine buster and hits some nice face holds in the ropes. EC3 makes a comeback and hits the big EC3 splash in the corner. This is the Stinger splash. Then a lie detector, I think that's what it was, for a 2 count. What is the technical name of that lie detector move? Does it have one? Jumping face buster?
Like the X Factor?
No, it's that shit that R-Truth does, where he just jumps in the air and pulls the guy's head down into his armpit.
Pulls it down into his armpit? Oh, I don't know. I don't know. Is that the Ice Cream Man?
I don't know what the hell that is, to be honest.
Goddamn Ice Cream Man's out there. Go!
No, I think it's Kincaid from Spawn.
Huh. Anyway, go on.
Yeah, you ain't getting that reference.
No, I'm still trying to figure out this goddamn truth serum or whatever it's called.
The lie detector.
A lie detector.
It's R-Truth's, I think it's R-Truth's finish. He just jumps in the air, and it's like he pulls the guy's face down into his boob.
That's the Ice Cream Man.
The Ice Cream Man may pull somebody's face into their boob too, but
leaping reverse STO.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's what it is.
You're welcome.
Oh, leaping reverse STO. Come on.
No, that's what it's called.
I know, but that's a pretty.
You asked, dude. Don't get mad when you ask, and then I give you the proper answer.
Listen, it's a convoluted explanation of that move.
Well, that's why he calls it the fucking lie detector, dude.
Jumping reverse STO. Anyways, Bennett then takes over again. He goes for, it's like the Rainmaker, but he just does a punch. He goes for a ripcord punch. EC3 ducks it, hits a TKO, which I think the Pope called a TK3, which I don't know. That's just too much for me. I can't handle it. You know what? I'm done with Impact. That's the final straw.
That was a final straw, huh?
TKO. It's not TK0. What the hell makes it a TK3?
Because he's EC3.
Why
do you call a reverse leaping STO a lie detector except his name is Truth?
An ECO would be better than TK3.
Yeah, it's pretty sickening.
So the knock 3. Whatever. Hits the TK3, but Maria pulls Mike Bennett's leg onto the ropes. Bennett then grabs a chair, but EC3 counters into a fucking Taz mission. He did a Taz mission and then pulls him into a $1 Million Dream, transitions into it.
I'm going to teach that tonight.
During this, Mike Bennett taps, but Brian, you gotta go back. You gotta watch this. I'm telling you, it's the best. Earl Hebner's so he's like in the ring, but he's arguing with Maria over a chair. So he's like halfway through the ropes. EC3 just kind of walks over to grab the chair because Bennett's down to the ground. He walks over, grabs a chair, but as he grabs it, it opens up. The bottom part opens up and hits Earl Hebner in the face. And Earl Hebner decides, perfect time to take a bump face first onto the apron of the ring for no reason, and then just rolls back in and DQs EC3. So Earl Hebner's holding the chair, okay? He's pulling it back and forth, Maria. EC3 just walks over and grabs it, and the thing opens up into Hebner's face, and he spills out. You got to watch it. I'll cue it up for you and send it to you.
Please cue it up for me.
So DQs EC3 for using the chair, and that's the end of that. So we have Al Snow coming out to give his apology. Oh my God,
there's more?
Oh, fuck. Oh yeah.
Don't even
that was the beginning of the second hour. There's not much more. Al Snow comes out to give his apology to Grado and Mahabilly Shera.
Mahabilly Shera.
Fuck. No, it's how do you spell his name?
Mahabilly, like a hillbilly. It's Mahabilly. Mahabilly Shera.
Shit, you're right.
Thank you.
I'd rather it be Mahabilly, though. Because I was thinking, like, wouldn't it be awesome if Honky Tonk Man came out and managed him, too? You could have Rockabilly and Mahabilly.
I was thinking you call him the Ability Mahabilly Shera.
Ooh.
Mahabilly Shera.
Mahabilly Corgan Shera.
Hey!
Yeah, they could, whatever. I've already talked too much about this guy. He comes out, him and Al Snow argue. Al Snow talks about his training tape, says Mahabilly needs to watch it. Mahabilly says that he needs to respect everybody. Al Snow talks about how what he did was wrong. And in the future, he's going to help Shera and Grado reach their goals. He wants to help the youngsters in this business reach their limits, because what happened when he was getting into the business is people would take advantage of him. Guys hit him in the back of the head so hard in matches that he wouldn't be able to see for an hour. He would go blind for an hour, and he doesn't want the veterans in this business doing that to the youngsters now.
Oh, God.
So he's going to help them reach their goals. So they all walk outside the ring, and as they're walking away, Al Snow probably looked at himself. He probably saw a reflection of himself on the TNA screen, on the Titantron or TNA IMPACT-tron, because he throws Shera into the steps, beats the crap out of him, goes to the back, cuts a promo talking about how this is his business. These guys today getting into it don't deserve to be there. Calls Grado a fat turd. It's a deplorable attitude by Al Snow. So we have the second to last segment of the show, the TNA Knockouts title match, Jade versus Madison Rayne. At the beginning of the match, there's a feint, a low chant for Jade. They're chanting Jade's name, which is uncharacteristic. Not quite sure if she's a heel or face anymore. And match is pretty one-sided. I'm going to go through the match first. It's pretty one-sided. Jade runs pretty much the entire thing. She does a better job, I think, here than when she's with the Dollhouse. Seems more confident, more in control of the ring. Madison makes a comeback, but misses a top rope splash, eats a basement drop kick, and Jade hits the STO for the 3 count. Now, maybe this may be the most offended I have been watching wrestling in a long time, perhaps in 2016.
Really?
During the match, yeah, Josh says to the Pope, "Hey, Pope, does Jade remind you of anybody else there in the TNA ring? Or does she remind you of anybody?" And the Pope goes, "Well, yeah, Josh, of course, my girl Jade reminds me of another TNA Knockouts champion, Gail Kim." And then Josh says, "Wow, yeah, you're right. You know who she reminds me of? Ronda Rousey."
Ronda Rousey.
And then Pope goes, "Yeah, Josh, you're right. She's kind of like a hybrid of Gail Kim and Ronda Rousey." I don't know what to think.
Yeah, you do.
Well, they're wrong. I mean, what the hell?
Dude. That's what set you off in all of this bad commentary you heard on every show for the past several years now. That's when it finally tipped the scales.
The Jade is a mix between Gail Kim and Ronda Rousey.
Yeah.
Gail Kim and Ronda Rousey.
You know, she does some moves.
Yeah.
I don't know. On the grand scheme of things that Josh and the Pope have said that are offensive, that's low on my list.
You know, I would consider myself a hybrid of John Cena and, let's see, what's it? Caitlyn.
Caitlyn?
Yeah.
Wow.
John Cena. I'm a hybrid of John Cena and Caitlyn. He's got short hair. Caitlyn has long hair. My hair's somewhere in between.
Hey, perfect.
John Cena's huge and muscular. Caitlyn is huge and muscular, too. And I'm somewhere in between.
Boom.
Yeah, there we go. So the final match.
Oh, my God, there's more?
Drew Galloway and Jeff Hardy versus Tyrus and Matt Hardy. So they get the heat on Drew Galloway. The Pope, during this match, sticks up for Tyrus's offense and explains how he doesn't move too fast, so his offense is a little slower. And what he does is he tries to take the wind out of the opponent. Well, at least the Pope, putting over Tyrus there a little bit, not calling him boring. Good thing those guys from Future Stars of Wrestling weren't there during this match. Galloway makes the hot tag, and in comes Jeff. Atomic drops, hits some atomic drops, hits I think they called it the twist of hate. The twist of hate on Matt.
Because he hates his brother, okay.
Well, it's the stunner version. It's not the twist of fate.
I see. Wow.
Then the two exchange some holds and moves before Jeff does then hit the twist of fate on Matt. Climbs up to the top. He's going to go for the swanton, but Tyrus gets in the way. Jeff jumps off. Tyrus catches him. Drew Galloway runs in out of nowhere and hits the Claymore kick on Tyrus. Reby uses this distraction to bring out the old diaper bag. Hands Matt it's a hammer out of the diaper bag. And Matt hits kind of like an uppercut to the jaw of Jeff with the hammer. Pins him. Gets the 1, 2, 3. And as everybody's celebrating, as the faces are laid out, in comes Bobby Lashley. He spears Galloway, and he holds up the title high above his head to end the show.
I am so exhausted. That felt like 500 segments on that Impact show.
It is, and I think, honestly, that's one of the biggest deterring factors from the show. If they cut out all these segments, like every time they go to a commercial, there'll be a segment right before. Every time they come back, there's a segment. In between any matches, there's backstage segments. There'll be an in-ring segment, backstage segment, in-ring segment, backstage segment that starts in the ring and then goes backstage and vice versa. It's just too much.
I'm not watching the show next week. That brings us to the weekly TNA Impact
Jim in
review.
Virginia doesn't really care, does he?
Well, he does rarely bring up the dudes, but he does watch Impact every week, so he cannot help but see them. What did you think of Impact this week?
All right. Impact was okay. I believe in my review I'm going to miss some skits and segments, but they're all the backstage stuff. And hell, to be honest, Brian, I really don't care.
How do you miss the backstage stuff?
It's not so much that I missed it, but there were a lot of Decay promos. I don't want to give anything away, from a show that's a week old. But there were a lot of Decay promos that led to a bigger promo in the end. So I'm not really going to address those. And then there's always stuff like Eric Young's in the back just talking right before the commercial. And then it comes back, and then EC3's in the back talking about his next match. And nothing ever happens,
Sure.
So, the first thing on Impact from last weekend, which would be 4/17, I believe. We have the Knockouts ladder match for control of the Knockouts division starts us off. And the first thing that happens on the show is that Josh informs us that the Pope is, in fact, the most entertaining commentator in wrestling. Were you aware of that?
I was not aware of that. I don't buy it.
No one's buying anything that they're selling, so shouldn't be too alarmed by that. Velvet Sky comes out, feels up the ladder for God knows what reason. I don't know.
She felt it up.
Pope says she came out and the ladder's like in the entranceway. She comes out, puts her hands on it, rubs them up and down a few times. Very sensual. Pope says, "We've been talking about this match all week." I haven't. I know that. Story of the match is that everyone wants to beat up Maria Kanellis, but she keeps evading them, taking off, getting outside the ring. At one point, Gail Kim gives chase to her, but the Decay come out, and Rosemary canes Gail, and then they carry her to the back. During this hullabaloo going on outside and inside the ring, Jade ascends the ladder to grab the contract for control of the division. Marty Bell uses this to powerbomb her off. Velvet Sky climbs the ladder trying to seize her chance to control the TNA Knockouts, but lo and behold, Maria comes up from behind with the cane that was left behind by Rosemary, hits Velvet, climbs the ladder, and grabs the contract. So Maria Kanellis is now in control of the Knockouts division. I believe she can make matches, make title matches. I don't know. She's taken over for, Brooke Hogan's old job, I guess?
As somebody asked on Wrestling Observer Live, why do we need somebody who controls the Knockouts division when there's like 6 knockouts? It's ridiculous. I mean, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. And
what am I ranting about?
not only that, but was that a rant? Does that count?
I raised my voice, so yes.
Okay. Velvet Sky's gone too, right? Like this is her last.
That's right. She's
just
gone.
Finished up this past weekend.
Maybe Maria Kanellis
ruled
that she had to get out of here.
She gave her the boot. It's possible, I guess. Hey, Velvet Sky, you're gone, and I'm taking your money. That's what I'd do. So Drew Galloway is next out, and he comes out and says he isn't medically cleared by TNA, and TNA will not let him wrestle tonight. But they didn't say that he can't fight. So he calls out Bobby Lashley to come down to the ring and finish the job that he started last week. But instead, out comes Rockstar Spud in a tiny little black leather outfit. And throughout this entire segment, I'm not sure if this is his character or if the guy was fucked up in the back, but he keeps wiping his nose like he's on coke. Like, noticeably. So I'm assuming it's supposed to be part of the character, but... well, I wasn't backstage. So, Tyrus comes out with Spud and claims that Drew Galloway is hiding behind this doctor's note so that Tyrus doesn't cash in his briefcase. And Drew Galloway then says that, sure, Tyrus, you can have your match next week. He calls him out for a fight right there, and he gets exactly what he asked for because Spud and Tyrus beat the crap out of him and leave him laying in the ring. So, he got exactly what he wanted there.
So far, so good.
Yeah. We had a Decay promo, which I'll skip over. Basically, they're just in the back holding Gail Kim hostage, and this happens a few times throughout the course of the show. Next, we have a match between Trevor Lee and Eddie Edwards. This match was supposed to happen last week, but due to an attack, which we are led to believe was from Trevor Lee and Shane Helms, Edwards was unable to compete. Instead, Trevor Lee fought against DJZ, and I believe DJZ upset him for the win. Here, Edwards had the match won. He went up to the top rope. This allowed Gregory Shane Helms, to grab the ref, distract the ref, and outruns Andrew Everett to push Eddie Edwards off of the top rope. Andrew Everett got absolutely no response from the crowd. They continue to beat up the faces a little bit. I'm sorry, hold on. They didn't beat him up yet. Andrew Everett pushes Eddie Edwards off the top, and as Eddie Edwards is flying off the top, Trevor Lee nails a jumping knee to the face and then pins him for the 3 count. DJZ runs out to try to make the save as the heels beat up on Eddie Edwards, but they beat him down too, and then Andrew Everett hits a pretty sweet 630 splash on top of DJZ. So the heels left him laying. The Sugar Shane Helms Dynasty, the Helms Dynasty as it's called, is taking form here in TNA.
The Helms Dynasty with Shane at the helm.
Trevor Lee and Andrew Everett. This will probably be, I'd say, twice as effective as the Shield.
Oh, yeah?
As a group. Yeah, that's my guess. So we have Eric Young next in the ring, bitching about TNA management, says that they're sucking up to EC3, they suck up to Jeff Hardy and the Creatures, etc., etc. Says that he and Bram are done. They're out of there. They're quitting TNA, and he's taking the King of the Mountain title with him. As he goes to leave the ring, Bram stops him, says, I'm not going with you. I'm staying right here. I'm not leaving TNA. Says, that belt looks pretty heavy, so maybe you should let a real man take it before you leave. Which Eric Young kind of looks at him, thinks about it, and then beats the crap out of him and pile drives him right in the center of the ring. So, good babyface turn by Bram, stands up for himself, and then Eric Young just beats his ass fair and square, leaves him laying. The Chesterfield Plague, which I actually, you know what, I looked up to see if there really was a Chesterfield Plague, and there was in like 630 AD, or whatever it was. Anyways, whatever. Fuck it. Fuck that segment. Let's move on.
What a history show we've got for everybody here today.
We go to the back, and for some reason, Jeff Hardy is looking in the mirror, applying mascara, eyeliner, foundation, perhaps a little glitter, and he's talking to himself and saying he's really not looking forward to facing Matt later on in the show. Jeff and Matt are going to have an I Quit match to end the show, to take us home later. So he's not looking forward to it, assumably due to the fact that he's facing his own flesh and blood. So we have Mike Bennett with Maria in the ring next to tell a fairy tale. And Bennett has on some sweet sparkly gold shoes to match Maria's dress, which is a new touch. This fairy tale that he's telling, however, it's all about EC3. EC3 had the gold. He had all the riches. He had all the friends in the world. And then a white knight by the name of the Miracle arrived. And it caused EC3 to spiral out of control. EC3 lost everything. And they battled. And the Miracle defeated Prince Ethan Carter III. He says that now... Are you
talking about Milo Croton again?
It's Milo Bennett, the Miracle. He says he now has his kingdom back. The kingdom of miracles, where they all say, yes, we do. And EC3 comes out. And they talk. They banter back and forth. They talk about how they are different, how they are similar. They say they have a lot of similarities. And then EC3 says, the big difference between you and me, Mike Bennett, is that I don't skip leg day.
Wow.
This, I laughed my ass off. Give a very uproarious chuckle to that one. So they agree to face next week. No disqualification. And Josh says, these are the two men who want to carry this company into the future. And I thought, I bet they sure do. So they can keep their jobs. Next up, we have Al Snow in the ring, and he is blaming the fans for the state that wrestling is in today. He says to let the lesson begin and to bring out Mahabilly Shera right now to get stomped. So Mahabilly Shera decides to come out to get stomped. Gets into a match with Al Snow. Al beats him up, hangs Shera up on the top at one point, and then unties Earl Hebner's shoe so that he can kick Shera in the junk. Al then takes the microphone during the match and challenges fans to get in the ring. And I really, really wish I had been in the crowd, because this went on for, 30 seconds, and I'm pretty sure that I could have jumped that railing and the Harris brothers wouldn't have been able to do a damn thing about it.
Probably.
So, Shera comes back, fires up with some offensive offense. No sells a clothesline, clotheslines Al over the top. Al Snow sneaks under the ring, attacks him from behind. They battle a bit more. Shera has Snow on the ropes, tied up in the ropes. Al Snow pulls out a gimmick from his trunks, punches Shera in the head with it, KOs him for the 3 count. Match is over. Next, we have the Decay coming down to the ring. So they've had all their promos in the back where they're torturing Gail Kim. This time, they're out in the 6-sided square, whatever it is, 6-sided ring, and says that all the people in the audience are puppets, but the Decay have had their strings cut. And they'll cut Gail's too if she just gives them what they want. For some reason, Beer Money comes out for the save. Yes, Beer Money. Bobby Roode and James Storm. Yes, James Storm. The same guy who tried to kill Mickie James last summer by pushing her onto a train track has indeed come out to save Gail Kim from torture.
Well, he mentioned when he came back that his grandma had told him, this ain't my James. So he's turned around his life. He's a man of the people now and the women.
Listen, I've watched this guy drink and drive down to the ring for the past 3 months. I don't think he's an upstanding citizen.
Well, you can drink when you go in the bumper cars, right?
He's not in bumper cars.
Yeah, he basically is. He's not driving a fucking vehicle. He's in a little cart.
Do you think it has a registration?
No, so then he's okay.
All right.
You can drink and ride a skateboard.
You can't drink and ride a bike.
I'm not sure about that, actually.
No, I just told you can't. It's a bike is a vehicle.
You know, are you a cop here in Washington State?
A bike is a vehicle. You ride it on the fucking same lane, and you go the same direction as a car. You don't even go the opposite direction.
Can I drink and ride a bicycle?
You sure as shit you can. You're not supposed to.
I'm going to read this right now. Drunk biking, findalaw.com. I'll read this while you're continuing on segment 9,248 of the show.
Okay, so you're not going to read it out loud.
Well, I will as soon as you're done. I don't want to interrupt you.
Okay. So, whatever. Beer Money and Decay are going to have a tag team match for the titles next week. The entire reason why the Decay stole Gail Kim was to somehow get Beer Money to come out and agree to a tag title match. Kind of bizarre. I don't really understand it. Nor do I particularly think about putting that much extra thought into understanding it. Next week, the match between Decay and Beer Money will be in the Valley of Shadows.
Okay, I got some information for you.
Okay. Wait, hold on, Brian. No.
Yes.
Okay, no, sorry, go ahead.
All right, we're both right.
No, but hold on. Okay, no, go ahead. Go ahead.
We are both right. States and courts are split on the subject of drunk biking. Some states acknowledge that a bicyclist can only harm themselves. Others believe that they can have a profound effect on others. So I guess it depends on your state whether or not you can drink and ride a bicycle.
You should not be drinking and riding a bicycle because you're putting other people in danger. If you are on a bicycle and you're hammered and you get in somebody's way and you cause them to hit you.
We're not running for president here. I'm just telling you what the law says. As
president of the Empire, it is illegal
to
ride a bike and drink in the Empire.
That was a Conor McGregor legit checkmate right there. Yeah. Also, non-automobile DUI, other motor vehicles. It is also, it says, a gray area. Some states create a list of motor vehicles that fit under the definition of DUI laws. So it is possible that in Florida, James Storm can legally ride that cart while drinking.
You know, I lived in Orlando for a long time, and I think that's where I got the entire idea that you can't ride on a bike drunk.
Well, goddamn, maybe he's breaking the law, dude.
Fuck, I'm gonna have to go to these next tapings, aren't I?
We'll have to. I know we've got lawyers that listen to the show down in Florida. They can fill me in.
I am the law. Lur. All right, last match of the week. Last thing we'll do this show before the plugs. Matt Hardy versus Jeff Hardy, I Quit match. Jeff comes out, takes over immediately until Spud runs out for the early save. Matt uses that to take over with a clothesline. They battle on the outside using chairs, the ring bell, various props. Jeff sets up a guardrail. Matt cuts him off, gives him a side effect through it. He can't get him to... Okay, hold on. So Jeff gets side effected through this ladder, right? I think it's Earl Hebner, who, forgive me, but he's been reffing for like 40 years. Comes over. Matt gives Jeff a side effect through the ladder. Earl Hebner comes over and asks Matt if he wants to quit. What? Jeff's the one that just got hurt. Why is he asking Matt if he wants to quit? He never even asked Jeff. Matt's like, no, I don't want to quit.
Well,
leaves with the moment.
Maybe he's just
Spoiler
confused.
Spoiler alert. Maybe that's why Earl Hebner is now retired.
Oh, did you have to?
What?
I didn't even know that. I didn't read
the TNA.
I didn't read him today. I got him, but I didn't read him.
Just cut it from the show.
No, I'm not gonna read. I'm not gonna read it now.
You're gonna forget it. Just cut it from the show, and you'll forget it. Don't worry.
I don't want to bury TNA or anything like that. I realize that I'm hard on him all the time, but I have never once in the last year had one single solitary person send me one message on any form of communication that they were upset that we gave away a spoiler for TNA. But my God, you mentioned that Matanza got hurt during a taping, and there are people that think that's a spoiler and send me angry emails.
Oh, my God. My friends. So I'm in a WhatsApp chat with some of my friends. It's called WrestleManiacs. So that should tell you what it's about. But when Samoa Joe won the title, I get on there and I go, hey, Samoa Joe just won the title. You guys are all in Massachusetts, and none of you are in Lowell to see it. And I get lambasted. Well, you spoiled it. Thanks a lot, you jerk. And it's like, what are you going to stay off Twitter for the next month before they show the footage? Or you're going to stay off, you're not going to find out in the next week? I didn't spoil it. NXT and WWE had it on their damn Twitter.
It's not even spoiling. It was a non-televised fucking show. They may not even ever have footage.
It's called news.
You're going to spoil the election by telling somebody who won before they hear about it at their church?
Hey, I think I'm going to stay off Twitter in November 9th or 17th or whenever election day is. I'm going to go vote. I'm going to stay off all social media till the next day so that people don't ruin the election. I want to wake up the next morning and see the the speech. I want to see the inaugural address 3 months later, not know who it's going to be. Anyways. All right. So Jeff and Matt are fighting. Jeff teases jumping off a ladder to put Matt through a table, but he looks, and in the distance, really like 10 feet away on the other side, he sees the staircase going up in the arena. So he decides to climb the staircase. Now, Brian, you were there at WrestleCon. Jeff Hardy's not moving too well. He's on one leg.
Oh, yeah.
And here, he's on one leg. And this guy climbs up about, I don't know, it had to be at least 20 feet, 20 plus feet, and dives off of a stairwell, hits the Swanton bomb. He doesn't hurt himself on the spot, but the balls of this guy to go up there and even do this spot on one leg is amazing. So he hits the Swanton. The medics come out. They carry out Matt and Jeff. Reby is out there. She's just inconsolable. And the show goes off the air. I thought it was a great segment to end the show. Pretty effective. Both guys looked like they were, not injured, but it was a big enough spot that they could take both guys out for a while and it'll build to their matches in the future being an even bigger deal. So, I thought TNA was, most weeks it's pretty good. This week, pretty good. I enjoyed it.
Well, there you go. Last week, we talked about, actually, we didn't even talk about the whole match. You talked about the whole match. I'd only seen the finish. The legendary Rebel match with Shelly Martinez. I've now seen the whole thing. I've reviewed it many times. I don't think we need to do it again. But I had people tell me last week, they said, Brian, as horrible as that match was, and it was horrible, I believe that the Eli Drake segment on Impact may have been worse. And I said, bullshit. There's no way it could possibly be worse. And when I contacted you today, you told me that it may have been worse.
Yeah.
Defend yourself.
My notes, word for word, the first sentence is, Eli Drake warns us that possibly one of the worst segments in history is up next. I like Eli Drake. I'm like an Eli Drake fan. I was kind of, okay, I'm not going to say excited, but I was at least ambivalent towards him coming out and doing a talk show gimmick here. So he has a show, The Fact of Life, right? Which is, it's not too offensive. And he has a podium in the ring and a giant button. Now, the button is the real star of this segment. It is also maybe the worst idea TNA has ever had. He would hit this button and it would go, dummy, yeah, over and over again. So first of all, he starts talking about Jeff Hardy and he goes, Jeff Hardy is an idiot. He's stupid. He climbs up to the top of the scaffolding. He jumps off. Why? He doesn't even do it for money. He doesn't do it for a title belt. He does it for you fans. He's a dummy. Dummy, yeah. And then he goes, Drew Galloway, that's another guy. He walks around with this title, thinks it makes him special. What a dummy. Dummy, yeah. Calls out the BroMans. Okay, so he was partners with Jesse Goddard's up until a few weeks ago when the BroMans decided to reform for no reason. And for the next 5 minutes, all they did was talk over one another while Eli Drake kept hitting this button. So they're arguing. BroMan and Jesse Goddard's and Reby E do when they're talking, they will ask rhetorical questions of themselves and then answer it. So they're talking, and then Eli Drake's trying to talk because they're asking questions, and then Eli Drake's hitting the button. It's 5 minutes. It's really bad. I don't know if it's worse than the Shelly Martinez Rebel match because, in a way, a match is supposed to be more serious than these talking segments. But this is some of the worst TV that TNA has put on since I've been watching.
What was the idea behind it? Why? I don't even, why was there a button? What the fuck is going on?
That is a very good question that I cannot answer. The only good stuff that happened here, and I can't even find a point to the segment, really. Jesse Goddard's at one point called Eli Drake a douchebag. So, I mean, that was at least something entertaining. And then eventually Eli Drake just attacked both of them and got beat up. And it's like, dummy, yeah.
You waited the whole time to do that, didn't you? All right, well, now that we got that segment out of the way, let's go through all of Impact.
I wasn't prepared for that.
Why waste time?
Let's get it started. So this is Impact from last week, which was 4/26/2016. And it starts off with Tyrus versus Drew Galloway. Of course, Drew Galloway is the Impact World Champion. Is it the TNA Impact World Champion or the Impact Wrestling Champion? I don't even know. But this match is for that title. So Tyrus is in the ring with Spud, calls out Galloway. Drew comes out, and they get the action started right away. Spud decides to interfere throughout most of the match, including Tyrus trying to hit Galloway. He hands Tyrus the Bound for Gold briefcase that Tyrus currently holds, and Tyrus tries to hit Drew Galloway with it, but Galloway evades and ends up hitting a bulldog onto Tyrus. Tyrus then gets hit with a Claymore kick, but kicks out. This is about midway through the match as, man, my notes are really bad here. As Josh puts over Galloway's multiple finishing moves of the Claymore kick. He also has the Iron Maiden, and I believe there's another one in there. So in what I termed a downright impressive turn of events, Galloway is able to superplex Tyrus off of the top rope before hitting the Future Shock DDT for the 3-count win. So there was the other finisher that I was talking about. So Josh, during the commentary, actually put over, look, he's got these multiple moves. Galloway tries to win with each one, eventually hits the DDT, gets the 3-count, and the win.
Do you ever go to Joe Rogan, like, before one of your fights and give him, like, a list of jiu-jitsu moves that are named after you? Like, the guillotine is the filthy face lock and shit like that?
No, but yeah, I know where that's going because apparently everybody in wrestling does that, right?
I guess. Like, how many names does he have for all these wacky moves he's got?
Well, the Iron Maiden, he beat Kurt Angle with it like 2 or 3 times before he even named it. So perhaps he put it up to some sort of vote with the fans. I don't know. Why don't you just name every move? I mean, he's got the Claymore kick, right? He just jumps in the air and kicks the guy. Why isn't that like a one-legged drop kick? That's all that it is. Look at me,
dude.
Claymore kick, Future Shock DDT. I mean, what the hell does that even mean?
I don't know.
It's not a futuristic move. I definitely saw it in the past. Mick Foley was doing it before him. Anyways, they replay last week's Jeff and Matt Hardy finish where Jeff did a swanton off of the scaffolding through a table onto Matt. Josh says that next week we will get an update on Jeff's health. And I thought to myself, what about Matt? Nobody cares about him. He's the one that has a family. Think about Maxwell. So Maria is in the back in the land of 1,000 segments, TNA. Maria's in the back wearing cat ears. I don't think it was ever even discussed why.
Because it's hot.
It is. And she's talking to herself in the mirror. She says, no one will stop her tonight, not even Gail Kim. Would you guess, Brian, who tries to stop her later?
Could it be Gail Kim?
Oh, sure as hell is.
Wow.
We go to another.
It's called foreshadowing, Tom.
That is what it is. So we have another segment with Beer Money, who is in the back. And James Storm seems perplexed and confused by the Decay and the match that they have challenged them to, which is the Valley of Shadows match, which we will find out later on isn't really anything special. So we go to another segment, which is Maria in the ring, and she's recalling her win for control of the Knockouts last week in the ladder match. She says she is going to make the Knockouts division in her own image. And, of course, Gail comes out to stop her. Hot redheads. Everybody's going to have to be a hot redhead to be in the division. Is that it? That wouldn't be that bad.
Nah, not my thing.
Who could they... Taylor Hendricks?
Dude, it ain't the red hair.
It's a valid point there. So Gail comes out, and Maria says that no one cares about Gail, and she doesn't care about and no one cares about the Knockouts. So way to put over the division that you are now in control of. And Maria then calls out Rosemary to have a match with Gail Kim. So Gail Kim versus Rosemary's next with Maria at ringside. Rosemary takes control pretty early on with lots of clubbing blows, a splash, even an exploder suplex. Rosemary then applies a submission, but Gail counters, and the two trade some, I guess, somewhat sloppy pin attempts before Gail Kim uses... So this was bizarre. They trade pin attempts, and then Rosemary gets up, walks over to the ropes, and her and Steve embrace and are starting to make out. And then Gail Kim hits a drop kick to her, puts on the figure 4 on the ring post. They go back in the ring. Gail hits a reverse DDT. Crazy Steve pulls her out. Gail Kim slaps him twice because I'm pretty sure she missed the first one. Maria distracts Earl Hebner. Rosemary spits mist in Gail Kim's face and then hits a F5, or as I termed it, an F-5 for the win.
I hate to jump away from TNA for a moment, but we mentioned Earl Hebner, and we're not going to review all of Payback. It's already been done. But do you have any thoughts on what the hell happened to Enzo Amore as a man who has actually worked dark matches for WWE?
No, I didn't. Where did that come from?
Somebody on the board had written something like that.
Not true. I was extra talent.
Ah, I see. So they lied.
Yeah, I can tell. I'll tell you the story later. That was really bad. I mean, Enzo, I don't know what the situation was. We talked about this a little bit via text message, but I don't know if Gotch, it looked to me like Gotch crowded him really badly. And if the spot was that Enzo was supposed to baseball slide out of the ring, then I contend that's exactly what happened, because Gotch Irish whipped him or just tossed him, but he didn't stay in the middle of the ring. He ran behind him. And it looked like, maybe you would do that if it's a spot where you're going to whip the guy into the ropes and then hit him with a knee to the stomach or something along those lines. But Gotch threw him in, and they were too close to the ropes. And I think Enzo, if he was supposed to take that baseball slide, just didn't have the room to do it. And, fortunately, it ended up just being a bad concussion and him being knocked out, because as somebody that's seen people knocked out, I see it pretty frequently as far as mixed martial arts goes. Obviously, it's not the same situation, but he was out for way too long without somebody attending to him and waking him up. And that's really the most worrisome thing. As he's laying there, you could see his feet were moving a little bit, and I don't know if that was voluntarily or involuntarily, but at least it was a good sign that it was his extremities were moving.
Involuntary.
Yeah, which is not a good sign, because the longer you're out, the worse it is. And he was laying down there for a while. His eyes were rolled in the back of his head. I was very surprised that the referee, I think the referees, they should have some sort of training in that situation. He's calling for the medics and stuff, and obviously you want to make sure that he doesn't have whiplash and neck trauma, but it was clear as day that the guy was unconscious, and I was really surprised that he didn't go to further lengths to wake him up. I mean, I've been looking, and I'm like, okay, this looks really bad. And then I look over, and Xavier was looking on, and he wasn't eating the pizza that he had in front of his mouth. And I was like, okay, this, obviously this is not how it was supposed to go down.
The ref, to his credit, while he didn't do what maybe he could have done, he did at least get in there and say, Gotch, get your hands off this dude, because Gotch was ready to lift him up and throw his ass back in the ring.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that Gotch went over there and lifted him up by the head, because that is the thing they tell you not to do. Now, I think I did tell a story on air where one of my friends broke his neck at a nightclub, and I tried to lift him up. So don't do as I say. Do as I...
Don't do as he does. Do as he says.
Yes. Do as I say, not as I have done.
A lesson I'm sure you'll be giving young Finn before too long.
Undoubtedly.
All right, back to Impact.
Okay, so the next thing was the Eli Drake segment. One of the worst segments in the history of TNA. I declare it. Brian, I will ask you, however, to get the dummy sign bite for the future, please. Or somebody send it to him. Somebody make a song. How about a dummy song for me?
Last time somebody made a song for you, you hated it.
That was me.
No, there's another. Oh, no, never mind. We did a song when you were co-hosting the Bryan and Vinny show, and you were just appalled at it.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was. Okay, so the next match is Decay versus Beer Money in a Valley of Shadows match. So basically, a Valley of Shadows match is like they dim the lights and the crowd is blue and there's weapons around the ring. That's it. So no different than every Abyss match, except for the crowd was blue. There are weapons, as I said, surrounding the ring. This match was mostly brawling outside the ring before Abyss decided to empty the Oscar the Grouch garbage can into the ring. So Oscar's home is spread all across the six-sided ring canvas. And Crazy Steve decides he's going to go up top for a splash while there's all this debris around as James Storm is laying down. And in what was a highly dangerous spot, Crazy Steve jumps off the top, goes for a splash. James Storm has a chair on him. But before Crazy Steve can hit the mat, it's not like Crazy Steve jumps off and Storm holds onto the chair and Steve hits it. Storm throws the chair at him as he's in midair. And the chair kind of like, it wasn't stuck in the position where it's fully closed. It kind of opened up a little bit. And it was like, what the hell are you thinking? You trying to kill this fucking poor guy? So anyways, Beer Money takes over some double teams and we go to a commercial. Can you guess what this commercial was pimping, Brian? If you were TNA, what would be the number one item that you would want to put out?
Their next pay-per-view.
Incorrect. The AJ Styles DVD.
Oh, man.
So we go back to the ring, and Beer Money suplexes Crazy Steve onto a barbed wire board. I do not recommend doing that if you're a backyard wrestler. Abyss takes over, but Rosemary's mist backfires. James Storm breaks a beer bottle over Abyss's head for a 2 count. Another spot I do not recommend if you are a backyard wrestler or a professional wrestler. Rosemary then hits a low blow on Bobby Roode. Abyss chokeslams him onto thumbtacks, and they pile on top of him, and they win the titles. So this is a good garbage match, but if I was Bobby Roode and I'm leaving the company, and they're like, okay, if you're going to leave, we want you to drop the titles, I don't think I'm taking this bump onto the thumbtacks.
Hell no.
Hey, I'm out of here. As a parting gift, just fucking wreck my entire back. Please. There was blood coming out of his back. You could see all the thumbtacks were stuck in him. Ugh, what a way to leave the company.
You know,
it's also...
I got to say, I don't know how they look at things like this, but I do know that I was on this big rant that one day about intergender and the Taya match with Cage and all this other bullshit, and mostly I was ranting about how it all applied to Lucha Underground, but somebody in WWE texted me afterwards and they just said, it ain't just Lucha Underground, but they're never going to even look at Taya after doing stuff like this. Like, they have no interest. It's, I don't know. Why would Bobby Roode do this? Like, how does this help his case in any way to go to WWE to take these bumps and thumbtacks?
On his way out. It's not like he was doing it to try to help the, TNA. Hey guys, I mean, this will help me get over in the future in the company. I don't know who came up with this idea, but hey, more power to the guy. Another thing I wonder, do you think TNA has a budget for all these props, or is there like a guy at the warehouse who's like, hey, Dixie, where's all the thumbtacks?
I bet the guys go to the store and buy their own thumbtacks.
You think so? So what about all the other props? The garbage can? You think TNA has that stuff?
Dude,
maybe Universal has it.
Could be. It ain't expensive. A aluminum garbage can? Those are $5 for $10 at the Home Depot.
Do they even sell thumbtacks in like that Crown Royal bag they always break out to dump them on the mat?
I would bet there's a lot of Crown Royal being drunk, Tom.
Yeah, but I've never seen a velour bag holding thumbtacks being sold at the store, Well, no, especially in a Crown Royal bag. Well, it's not a real Crown Royal bag, Brian, I don't think. It's like a reasonable facsimile thereof.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just
do you even know what a Crown Royal bag looks like?
Yeah,
do you even know what Crown Royal is?
It's a purple velour bag. You don't think I've ever done a goddamn Christmas show? Maybe it's a Crown Royal bag turned inside out.
Brian, I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know if you did the Christmas show or not because I didn't listen to it because I was so incensed by your lack of planning on getting people on the show that I boycotted it.
Wow.
I wanted to get hammered, man.
I was at Taco Time the other day.
Nope.
I did not. This is an amazing tie-in. So I was thinking about the Crown Royal bag, and you said it's not a real Crown Royal bag. It's a reasonable facsimile, which got me thinking, why the fuck would TNA go to the trouble of making a reasonable facsimile of a Crown? Why not just get a Crown Royal bag and turn it inside out? Which then reminded me that I went to Taco Time the other day, and I'm ordering my food, and the girl's taking my order, and I noticed that she's got her apron on inside out. It says Taco Time backwards. Grown woman.
Maybe she's a big fan of crisscross.
She fucking dressed herself and didn't even see that her goddamn Taco Time apron was on backwards and inside out. I mean, come on. Anyway, go on with the Impact review.
All right, so Bram against Eric Young for the King of the Mountain title. These two broke up last week, and Eric Young beat up Bram and cut some of his beard off. So here Eric Young's in the ring, calls out Bram for a match. They start brawling right away. In this match, Bram works as a face. I'm still not sure if he did a face turn last week or if Eric Young is just the de facto heel here, but Eric Young works a heel in the match, controls most of the match. Bram hits a pretty nice pop-up powerbomb for a 2 count. Eric Young fights back. They end up on the apron, and Eric Young goes for his pile driver off the apron through a table. But Bram hits a low blow and nails a pretty nice, great, I would even say, implant DDT, or the brighter side of suffering, as I call it.
Fucking names.
He calls it the brighter side of suffering.
Cool.
Through a table for the second straight title change that got pretty much no reaction on the show. You know what I was thinking about doing today, but I didn't have time because I watched that god-awful Camp WWE shit. I think I'm bringing back a top 10 list next week. Top 10 worst moves.
Oh, goody. Actually, that sounds exciting. I can't wait.
Yeah, there's going to be quite a few on there.
Can we break this top 10 list down into 30 segments like they've done for Impact here?
I mean, sure. Why not? So the next segment, speaking of, is there's only 2 more segments that I wrote down. I actually skipped some, Brian. There's segments that I do not mention on here. Drew Galloway is in the back, and he informs us that he would indeed like to fight Bobby Lashley. And I thought, this is not a good idea. Bobby Lashley will kick your ass. This isn't Taryn Terrell. You're going to get beat up. I digress. He still wants to fight. And then we have EC3 versus the Miracle in a no DQ match. There are no countouts as well. There must be a winner by pinfall or submission. Pretty standard match for the most part. Back and forth action. Each guy starts kicking out of each other's moves. Maria hands Bennett a chair that he batters EC3 with. EC3 fights back and hits a 1%er, but Maria comes in and takes Earl Hebner, grabs his legs, stops the count. EC3 then decides turnabouts is fair play and beats up Mike Bennett with the chair, locks on the $1 Million Dream, to which Mike Bennett fights out. EC3 pulls him back to the center. Mike Bennett reaches out with his left hand, and just as he's about to grasp the ropes, EC3 pulls him back in. But Mike Bennett is able to reverse the momentum and springs towards one of the turnbuckles in the 6-sided ring, climbs his feet up the turnbuckle, leaps backwards, and eventually they go to the Bret Hart, Steve Austin 1996 Survivor Series finish, where EC3 is pinned for the very first time by Michael Bennett as he is holding on to the $1 Million Dream submission. And EC3 looks shocked. I have been informed that on at least the Canadian version, Josh said the words "holy shit." On mine, it was blocked out and just said "holy." So they put it over big. Mike Bennett gets the win over EC3, and it's the first time he's been pinned.
Holy smokes, EC3 no longer undefeated. Man.
Nope. And every time they cut to him as he's sitting in the ring, all I can think about is the guy from American Pie. Do you not see this? Am I the only one?
I think you may be the only one.
No. Go ahead. Get on your little internet device there, Brian, and pull up a picture. What is the guy's name?
I was going to say, you want me to just Google the guy from American Pie?
Well, it's the guy that banged the pie, so.
The guy that banged the pie in American Pie. That's quite a tongue twister. Jason Biggs.
I wonder if that's on his Wikipedia. Jason Biggs. Are you telling me he doesn't look like EC3?
Let's take a look here. He looks like EC maybe 8 or 9.
EC2?
He hasn't quite achieved the level of 3 yet. I guess kinda a little. Kinda.
Oh, God. I'll have to find a better picture then.
Yeah.
Anyways.
So, hey, that was the TNA Impact television show.